Hello and welcome. When you hear the name Judas, one image probably comes to mind: betrayal. But did you know there were actually two apostles named Judas in Jesus's inner circle? One became the most infamous traitor in history, while the other became a beloved saint. Today, we're going to untangle their stories and discover how two men with the same name could have such vastly different legacies. Let's start with the one everyone thinks of: Judas Iscariot. Judas Iscariot was one of the original 12 apostles chosen by Jesus. The name Iscariot is believed to mean he was from a town called Carioth in Judea, making him possibly the only apostle not from Galilee. He had a position of trust within the group. He was their treasurer, responsible for managing their money. However, the Gospel of John paints a darker picture, suggesting that Judas wasn't entirely honest and would sometimes steal from the common purse. This detail hints at a character flaw that would later lead to his ultimate downfall, the central event of Judas's life, and the reason his name is synonymous with treachery, is his betrayal of Jesus. The Gospels offer a couple of potential motives for this shocking act. The most commonly cited reason is greed. The Gospel of Matthew explicitly states that Judas went to the chief priests and asked, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you?" They agreed on a price: 30 pieces of silver. For centuries, this sum has symbolized the price of betrayal. Other accounts, like those in Luke and John, add a spiritual dimension, suggesting that Satan entered into him, driving him to commit this act. It was a combination of human weakness and malevolent influence that set the stage for one of history's most pivotal moments. The betrayal itself was carried out with a chilling symbol of affection. In the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus was praying with his disciples, Judas led a crowd of soldiers and officials to arrest him. The prearranged signal for identifying Jesus in the darkness was a kiss. As Judas approached Jesus and kissed him on the cheek, he sealed his fate and gave the world the kiss of Judas, an enduring symbol of a treacherous act disguised as friendship. This moment was the ultimate deception, using an intimate gesture of love and respect to deliver his master to his enemies. What happened to Judas after the betrayal is a tragic story of regret. When he saw that Jesus was condemned to death, he was overwhelmed with remorse. He tried to undo his actions by returning the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests, crying out, "I have sinned, for I have betrayed innocent blood." But they coldly dismissed him, saying, "What is that to us? That's your responsibility." The priests refused to take back the money, considering it blood money. The Bible actually gives us two different accounts of Judas's death. In the Gospel of Matthew, it's a story of despair. After throwing the silver coins into the temple, Judas went away and hanged himself. The chief priests then used that money to buy a potter's field to bury foreigners in, which became known as the Field of Blood. However, the Book of Acts offers a more graphic and unsettling account. The Apostle Peter describes how Judas used the reward money to buy a field. But there he fell headlong, his body burst open, and all his intestines spilled out. While the details differ, both narratives paint a grim picture of a man consumed by the consequences of his actions, ending his life in disgrace and sorrow. Now, let's turn our attention to the other apostle named Judas. To avoid confusion, the Bible often refers to him as Judas, not Iscariot. Today, he is widely known as Saint Jude or Jude Thaddeus. His story is one of faithfulness and devotion, a stark contrast to his infamous namesake. Saint Jude is traditionally believed to have been a close relative of Jesus, possibly a cousin. He is also identified as the brother of James, another one of the apostles. Unlike Judas Iscariot, Saint Jude is not a prominent figure in the Gospels. In fact, only one line of dialogue is attributed to him. During the Last Supper, after Jesus spoke of revealing himself to those who loved him, Jude asked a thoughtful question. "Lord, how is it that you will manifest yourself to us and not to the world?" This question shows a desire to understand Jesus' mission and his relationship with his followers, highlighting a curious and faithful mind. Saint Jude is also credited with writing the Epistle of Jude, a short but powerful letter in the New Testament. In this letter, he passionately urges Christians to contend for the faith that was once for all entrusted to the saints. He warns them against false teachers who had crept into the church and encourages them to build themselves up in their faith, pray in the Holy Spirit, and keep themselves in God's love. It's a message of perseverance and doctrinal purity that has resonated with believers for centuries. After Jesus' resurrection, tradition holds that Saint Jude became a tireless missionary. He traveled extensively with another apostle, Simon the Zealot, spreading the Christian message far and wide. His journeys are said to have taken him through Mesopotamia, Libya, and Persia. It was in Persia, around the year 65 AD, that tradition says he met his end. He was martyred for his faith, and that's why in religious art he is often depicted holding an axe or a club, symbolizing the weapon that was used to kill him. He gave his life for the very faith he encouraged others to defend so fiercely. So how did this faithful apostle become the patron saint of lost causes? Ironically, it's because of his name. For centuries, many Christians were hesitant to pray to Saint Jude, fearing their prayers might be misdirected to Judas Iscariot, the betrayer. Because of this, it was believed that only those in the most desperate and hopeless situations, those who had tried everything else and had nowhere left to turn, would be willing to invoke his name. As a result, devotion to him grew as a last resort, and he became associated with miraculous help in impossible circumstances. So there you have it, the tale of two Judases. 1. Judas Iscariot, whose story is a timeless cautionary tale about greed, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of our choices. The other, St. Jude Thaddeus, whose life is a testament to unwavering faith, perseverance, and the hope that can be found even in the most desperate of situations. 2 men, 1 name, and 2 legacies that could not be more different. Their stories remind us that it's not our name, but our actions and our faith that truly define who we are. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through history and faith. If you found this story interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating topics. Let us know in the comments which story resonated with you the most. We'll see you in the next video.